All right, my higher self's here.
So now, when you're ready, please let me know if you can see anything or where you are or who am I talking with.
Yes, so my higher self's here, and what they're showing me when you started connecting me to the pyramid was like this nucleus, like this circle within the middle of everything, and it had like Saturn rings kind of all around it, and it was just like had like 3 sets of them, it looked like. And what they're then faded into was the pupil of the eye looking out. Like the pupil of the eye is the nucleus of the Earth, the galaxy is what it kind of, I understand it as.
And can you tell me more about this nucleus right now? Do you still feel it? Is it in the middle?
No, the imagery of the nucleus was just to get me to understand that the eye is the perception of the universe, and like what that starts off with the you are the nucleus. You are the center of it. You are the perceiver. Like this is your universe.
And does it reside anywhere in the physical body?
No, it's just showing me in space, in the galaxy.
I was wondering, they say there is a small atom in our hearts that is the center, the spark, the divine spark, and I was curious if it's the same thing at the micro and macro level.
They're saying yes. Yeah, that's what they're showing me, like it existing within, and then they're showing me the universe, like they're parallel.
And do they recommend of using it somehow or working with it? Is this related to our intention?
It's related to our intention, but it also is like what you guys were talking about earlier of like the war going on and how you can't change the war, you can change self. And that is really what you're here to do. That the like outside part, if it was meant to be in your reality, would be in your reality. But if you really, things in the world you see that you don't like and that you want change, and that you then need to like embody that change within yourself. So what it means, like if there wasn't war within self, there wouldn't be external war. Like that's how powerful creators that you are. And as far as like accessing timelines and reverberating out that energy, and to not get lost in the outside illusions, although you can understand if you want to partake in them, that's about having a human experience, and that's all okay. But to be in tune with oneself when your attention goes to something and it makes you feel a certain way that you don't like, that to look within self and ask what is in with yourself, in the cells in the nucleus of self, that you need to look at and release and heal.
And regarding this, are there like what is meant to be will be and we cannot avoid, and what is not meant to be will never be? So meaning how much there are a lot of people who support this, so I'm curious, or just because this conversation reminded me of this, I'm curious how much can we change the outcome and how much is just something that is playing out and we cannot perceive that because we don't have the awareness of the frequency to step outside, and we're just playing out whatever is unfolding in this timeline and narrative.
Correct. So what you experience is what's meant to experience. Is now you have free will. So there are different experiences that you can experience using your free will. And with no judgment, it is all meant to be depending on which choice you make and which timeline. And if it is not meant to be, there will be things that happen that will put you back on the right path. And so it's not so much like things that aren't supposed to happen to you can happen. Like there are life contracts of like deaths of human beings that happen and they're not in the life contract. And stuff like that can happen, or the experience of that can happen. But the main thing is that most of what is meant to be in your life will happen in your life, unless you make a free will choice that diverges you from that timeline that has something that we have to diverge you back to.
And how can we be more aware of what we're choosing? I personally, sometimes I think I'm choosing something different and I end up with something that, I wouldn't necessarily be choosing it consciously. So when you have the intention to do the highest choice, how do you know if you are making it or not?
Well, I think it's a resonance of when you're making the highest choice. For one, be in connection and ask your guides which the highest choice is to be. And if you make that choice if you make that choice and it's not supposed to have the outcome that you like, that's the main thing is they're saying the intention of the outcome. Like when you make decisions, you're not supposed to be attached to the outcome of like a physical exact thing. What you're supposed to put is your intention of what you would like to align with in your life and release it, the expectation of the outcome, and just move forward. And then the outcome that's reverberated back to you by your guides, if you are in connection with them and you're putting the intention out there, is the one that is of the highest timeline. Necessarily the highest timeline to your guides isn't necessarily the highest timeline to your physical 3D manifestation of what you feel like is the highest timeline. Like, is someone winning the lottery the highest timeline? Not necessarily, because that comes with a lot of things, but is someone feeling healed, feeling free, able to make choices, able to travel, able to do the things that they want to do, to provide, to not have to worry for things? Like, is that a highest timeline kind of intention that can be manifested in different ways? Absolutely.
Wow. Speaking of that, I did have that one. Right now it's not working as much, but yeah. It was really funny because it was kind of similar to mine. The second one. So one of the things that wanted to ask, it seems like every month is more, everything is speeding up, and we were talking last time about birthing canal, and it feels like everything is very close somehow. And since everything is changing rapidly, we also have a lot of astrological events like eclipses. Can you give us some advice on how, and any person that might listen to this video, like how can we make the highest choices or navigate all of this? Because with high energies, going to be a lot of choices, and our nervous system is going to be probably more solicited than before.
So whatever you do that makes you feel most in alignment with self, most connected to your higher self, most grounded within the energies, that anything that you're doing of that higher frequency and setting the intention to be connected to, be guided to specifically for you, because for different people, it's based on beliefs, what works for them to help them with these energies. Belief system has a lot to do with the perception, like the nucleus of like your reality. And so whatever you believe to be the best thing for you, if to be connected, and the main thing is connection with higher guides is what they're really showing. And like whatever you feel connected to you that is in alignment and with yourself, authentic to self, that is what you should do. Now, the reason things are speeding up is that the vibrations of the energies and the higher frequencies, they reverberate faster. And so it's like when you're enjoying, you're doing something you love, time doesn't exist because you are in the present moment. And these things are coming faster and faster. It's because of the speed and the vibration of the energies of where you are. It's like when you're not happy, things go by slower. You're like waiting for time to just move. And like they're showing, like eventually it's going to get to the place and the energies are going to lead us to a place where we actually don't reflect on, like, you are truly in the present moment. It's almost like you have amnesia or dementia in a way, because you're not connected to the past, which they're saying it's not dementia because dementia is usually connected to the past, but that we're going to get to a place where you're truly in the present moment, and like the past won't exist. Like the rear view mirror will only be there, like it will rarely exist in the past. Like a lot of times you have a smell, it reminds you of a memory, that memory reminds you of a feeling, and then you start reflecting on the past and you start going to that place, and like now you're just now in the past and you're in that space of time travel into your past emotions, thoughts, and trying to unpack it, trying to see why that memory is showing up, trying to look at it from all perspectives, and you know, and heal it in a way and send it unconditional love, is where a lot of the light workers are at in those like soul review triggers. Eventually that, like, you'll be released from those ties of that third dimensional memory and that third dimensional state of being, that you no longer time travel like that. You are truly in the present moment and you're like soaking up that experience of that present moment, and you're setting goals for the future. So that is like where the energies of the fifth dimension are really leading. So you're not like, you can access like who was my grandmother when I was, on this lifetime. You'll be able to access those types of things, but you're not going to be triggered to a like anchored in the 3D.
Yeah. And I'm curious, is there a timeline
As far
for
as
that?
when that'll happen.
Yeah. Is it sooner than later?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys are on the trajectory. Like we said, it's like the final push. Like it's, you just, you know, we're not even going to give time, because for one, depending on the energy, time speeds up and time slows down. So when you're in the quantum, time doesn't exist. And so when we have said times in the past, it's because of the timeline and everything, and it's had its lessons, but we don't give time anymore. We just give like like Carrie likes to drive and she likes to look at road maps, like our road. Like when she's driving somewhere, she doesn't necessarily know the name of the road. She knows that there's a stop sign that looks like this, and that's when you turn left. Like, sight lines kind of thing, like sight marks. So we're giving you like trajectories that that you're on the, like, it's moving forward. It's there to know that like eventually there's going to be, it's just going to open up into 5D.
And is this something that, well, we have our own free will, and we also are co-creating. So I'm curious, for example, and this is maybe just trying to shatter a belief system I'm having right now. How much are we influenced by the people around us, and how much we are not? And I'm saying this because I have I am surrounded by people that are very different. And their vibration is different. So I don't know if we are influencing each other or not. And are we, when we are at a higher vibration, we have people around us, do we somehow alchemize some things from them as well, or is only a individual journey? Because there have been a lot of school of thoughts that we say that a lot of people and light workers who are handling a lot of emotion and transmuting a lot of feelings and vibrations for people around them as well.
Yes, you can absolutely alchemize other energy. It's not necessarily thinking of others, because if you think of everything as connected within this earth, it is your energy as well. So when you feel like empaths think they feel the energy of others and that they take on the energy, like when you go around someone, you're like, oh, I just took on their energy. No, it's your energy. It exists within your field. You wouldn't
Resonant.
feel you wouldn't feel it if you didn't have that energy existing with yourself. So when you're alchemizing it and you're releasing what no longer serves you, you're able to release it and like set the intention to release it to be alchemized to fifth dimension energy or higher. So therefore you're taking a denser energy and you're being like a magician in a way and turning it into high frequency energy, because all energy is neutral. It's the intention behind the energy that changes it. And so when you are feeling someone else's energy, you're actually feeling your own energy that resonates within yourself. And so you're alchemizing that. But either way, if you alchemize your own energy or somebody else's energy, I mean, that's all perspective in a way, but either way, the energy is getting alchemized. So to have a label on it, if it's yours or theirs, is not really necessarily the important. It's to set the intention to release that energy to a higher dimension so that it can then kind of be freed from those lower density, like anchored.
Yeah, so and is this something like, for example, can it happen in a way that's unconscious, and maybe just when you are in places that are more crowded, it's good to have that intention? Or is it just the law of resonance, like you will feel whatever is still there in you that needs to be transmuted, and once you do that, you actually do it for the people around you? Or
If you are grounded and you are have a great practice of self-care, as far as whatever that self-care looks like for you, is that meditation, is that grounding, is that whatever that self-care is that keeps your energy to a place that it's able to process these things, then we can say, you can intentionally say, I will go be a vacuum cleaner of emotions and I will take this on. Now, if you are not in a place where you're taking care of self and able to manage your own emotions, then you've got to take care of self first. You're no good to others if you are like that's almost like an avoidance tool. Like you're being the scapegoat and doing that all to yourself. It's almost masochistic. Like Carrie doesn't even know what that word is, but it's coming up in a way. But and it's like, everyone's here on their journey and they all have responsibility for their journey as well. You're not responsible for everyone else. But if you're in a good place and want to set the intention to help humanity, you can. But if not, then ask for to be like a disco ball around you, like wrap yourself in a disco ball, tightly seal it around you, and just say, I want everybody's to reflect the energies that they need to see within themselves. Like I'm here to be a reflection for them, to allow them to do their inner work, to do that, like and filling your energy with beautiful golden light or whatever light you resonate that will help you feel that higher vibration. Like you can set the intention to protect yourself in that way. And that way you don't have to have a wall up to people. If you put a wall up that permits, like a lot of empathic light workers, they tend to put a wall up. So now they don't feel good or bad because it's such a dense wall. And that's why we say to do it as a disco light, is because a disco ball, because it's protecting you, but it's also allowing them to see triggers for themselves with inner work. And so you're actually helping the other light workers, look at what they need to do as well.
I see. Personally, I always believe that if you're doing that, you're bypassing, because if you're protecting for yourself, you're like actually limiting your mastery in managing your emotions and your feelings and your state. And of course, there is a balance between that, but wouldn't that be a little bit of bypassing if you're always protecting? And because when you have if you're grounding yourself and you have a clear light body or energy body, then that shouldn't be that protection would come naturally, no? Otherwise, there are things that you need to look at, and it's your inner work that you're putting a wall or not.
That is perception. That could be both true and but what we're saying is it, how do you master something if you're not even doing self-care for yourself? You're not even ready for the test.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to self-care, is there anything that you would recommend?
Anything that resonates for you that you connect in with, and that and all tools in the toolbox don't work for everyone. I mean, they're all great tools, but go with what resonates with you. What in your heart speaks to you that you would really like to do? What would you, some people it's meditation, and we do recommend meditation because it allows you that quiet time, but we're saying there's also other tools that can give the same effect. Is it breathing? Is it integrating all of them? Is it, you know, is it doing energy work? Like a Tai Chi? Is what is it that resonates with you that brings you to that place of alignment, that brings it to that place of, you know, feeling like you're in the present moment? And it, there are so many tools out there. We're saying this is a time to tap in and what works for you.
Is there such thing as outdated tools? Are we going to access different tools in the future? Or actually it's just based on resonance, and whatever is there because outside 3D and 4D world there's no time.
Like we said, the tools that are what you would call ancient tools do serve a very functional purpose and do have their place in, you know, spirituality and becoming aligned. And there will be new age tools, newer tools with different technology that's working within the elements that are going to be what you would call more efficient or higher frequency. Both will work. It's just a matter of like what resonates with you.
Makes sense. And like my only concern sometimes in we maybe we have a little bit of fear that comes along, and some of the things mixed with fear, they don't become efficient tools, and or they become more like superstitions, and then we just create a different world, or maybe just create something artificial that we don't need. So I guess this is my question, making sure that whatever I'm creating or using or want to give forward, it's not something that is a distraction or something that also has roots in fear. I don't know if it makes sense, the question, or do I have to rephrase, or should I rephrase it?
Can you rephrase it?
Yeah, like, for example, even of course it makes sense of doing whatever feels good, but even, for example, sometimes the protection, we are so afraid of being vulnerable or attacked or something, that we always think that we have to make 1,000 walls around us of protections, or like or being afraid or hide or not go into the world because we think we are not as powerful anymore. So I think like I'm just wondering if these are, I right now I don't have any other examples around that. But I was just wondering if there are some tools, or maybe that can be outdated a little bit based on fear, and there are some even more like simple practices that are more appropriate for the new times?
Yes. So for one, yeah, you always want to check your frequency of to where you're coming from. Are you coming from a place of fear? Are you coming from like be very intentional about what the need is for? And there are times in your mastery of these lessons when you're going to come to the place where you're going to come to a belief where nothing can hurt you and nothing can harm you. And that is just a different level in the lesson and the mastery of this human experience. And so when you're at the place, like you may be at a place where you're not feeling completely empowered because you haven't done that self-care and that inner work of alignment and releasing emotions where you're stepping into your power. So there is a time in your journey, your spiritual journey, where you are not feeling empowered. And those tools, even though you're coming from a place of fear, those tools do serve a purpose to help you feel more empowered, more comfortable, more aligned to be able to navigate. And so there's no judgment of it. It's just a different frequency as to why those things are needed. But at different points in your alignment and different points in your growth, your spiritual growth and walk and ascension, you are going to use different tools for different reasons, and they're all okay. And so it's not that they're outdated, it's that they still have a purpose and they still have a value. It's just to empower on your spiritual journey to step more into empowerment and then take the next step into empowerment. There are things that you may be doing right now that you feel are highly intuitive, highly like scientific and enlightened processes of being, that you're using on your spiritual journey that in like what you would call like 5 years time may look archaic to you because of where you're at in your spiritual growth. And that's okay, but they served a purpose during this here and now moment.
Mm-hmm. And it's like having a walker, and like when do you know you need to let go of that walker, and when is this something that is just like an intuition and just trust the natural flow that you're guided by the higher self, or sometimes,
Fear
or
is
is
your
it?
best fear is your best guidance. Anything you fear and resistance, that's where you need to feel like step into your empowerment.
Mhm.
So when you're
Okay.
afraid that that walker won't like that you won't be able to walk without that walker, that is your best thing to know. Okay, when you're at the place when you're using the walker and you're realizing an acceptance, like, yes, this is a tool I need right now, and there's no fear behind using it. You just are in acceptance. But then there becomes a point when you start to fear what the legs would look like. The legs are telling you they're ready, but you're afraid to trust.
Okay, thank you so much. Um, Another question I personally wanted some higher guidance is around if there's any advice on working with crystals and how they're being used now, or what would be the best way to work with them.
If you feel called to working with crystals, we tell you to follow your intuition and guidance to use them and work with them. Crystals are there are a lot of different frequencies within the crystals, and they like we're showing that they need to be encoded and like Carrie doesn't understand it, but you have to tune them in, like you have to encode them for what they're to be used for, and like they store that. Um, they're showing me like a computer program, like you have to code a computer program, like you do the same thing with crystals, although they do hold a frequency to most resonate with that coding. But that's how you would really work with crystals. But also the belief and the intention can be encoded within those crystals as well and hold that belief and that intention as well. So some people believe certain crystals do certain things. If you want to tune into the crystal, you could put your hands around it, and just whatever comes up what that crystal is there for, you can ask the crystal to communicate what it would like to be used for as well, and that would be its natural resonance of its frequency. But yeah, they're another tool in the toolbox that can be used to help in the space of healing.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Is there anything that would be useful for us to know in this period?
They're saying anything that comes up, like anything that's coming up in all these different world events or events within your life, like if instead of, you can send love and you can send energy for those things that are unfolding to be of the highest timeline for humanity and ascension. But attaching grief and those things to those events that may or may not be playing off, but what you may be experiencing are playing out, are like, they're not helpful. Like it's almost adding to the energy of grief and, worry and all of that. So what they're saying is, when you see an event, you can send love and holding a space of, like, for the highest timeline, for the highest good. But within yourself, if you want to reflect of how you're contributing, ask your guides to show you what's in your own, like your own atomic field, your own vision of the universe, what they can show you that can come up that you can personally work on, and you can look on and send love and healing to, or ask to, like, what the lesson is, and release it. That way you're no longer, like, you're releasing those old timelines and they can fall away, so we can just fifth dimension.
Mm. Speaking of fifth dimension, does grief still have a place
No,
in our life,
higher
or what?
perspective.
Because there's a lot of things happening, and in my life and other people's life, and now with words, there's a lot of loss. And I was curious if grief is healthy, or we should, or not should, but maybe it's better for the outcome of everyone to just step back and not ignoring the feelings, but go more into sending love and having a higher perspective. And I'm asking this because, for example, I know there are books on grief, and it's also can be a practice of clearing. So if taking consideration we are like so close to 5D right now, is this still something that we should practice or try to also alchemize it into a higher state of being?
The thing with grief is, if you look at it from an object, okay, so say the grief is from losing someone. If you look at it from just an objective perspective, that losing that someone, like, they're moving on, this is their soul contract, they fulfilled everything they wanted to for this lifetime, and they're ready to move on. That's a very easy way to look at grief. Usually what you're grieving when you lose someone is all those unhealed traumatic events here on 3D, on Earth. And so it's not just the person honoring their life contract. You're now, anything that was in that relationship, that soul contract, that relationship of experiences that you experienced within that person, that hasn't been made peace with, forgiven, released, whatever you want to call it. Usually that's what you're grieving. You're going through all of those emotions, all of your time traveling in your thoughts. You're going to all those different places, and you either feel that feeling and you release it, or you feel that feeling and you distract yourself from releasing it. And so it's really not about the person leaving this world. It's about all those other experiences that may have come up as triggers for you, that you are given an opportunity to release. Some people can release it in just one big forgiveness. Like, I forgive the contract for everything that we've experienced, honoring it, knowing that it's for an opportunity for me to grow, knowing it's an opportunity for me to learn. And I appreciate and send gratitude to those experiences, and I cut the contract. And some people can do it that way. Some people have to do it in small bite-sized doses. and go look at each experience, feel it, release it, move forward, be in their present moment. Another thing comes up, triggers them, feel it, experience. So it's all about mastering the emotions here on 3D Earth, that having a human experience. So to say, like, should you process it? Should you not? Like, that is a very individual experience. But what you shouldn't do is avoid or numb, because the energy is still gonna be there. You know, if you want to move through and to move to a higher timeline, to a higher state of being, it's not meant there for you to hide from. It's meant there to be a teacher. And then once you process those feelings, you can come to a better place of the objective place, honoring their life contract, honoring the contract you had with them to have experiences, to master human emotion. And it becomes a lot more easy to what we would see in the 5D, to just honor the lifetimes and the experiences and the interactions that we had together, to be able to have an experience.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. And yeah. So in the end, it's about, it can be something that can open our heart. But the way we are processing makes the whole difference.
Yes. And we don't judge. Like, it just, when you're in that lower state of processing, the lower vibration of it, it's going to take a longer time to get to the next, lesson that you want to master and experience. And so, but when you can do it from a higher vibration, you kind of move through it a little bit better. And it depends on what your intention is and but either way, you're gonna be okay. Like, there's no judgment and release judgment of self of how you move through that process. Just acceptance and just being in the present, and what will need to come up will come up.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And can I ask a couple of personal questions?
Yes.
One would be, like, I've been struggling a lot with sleep, and I was wondering if there's any guidance on that. I've been trying to meditate, having intentions, prayers, trying not to drink water before, or I don't know, and I still have issues with waking up and dreams, and it's really hard to go with my day going forward, and every morning I have to spend a lot of time just to get energized and functional. So I don't know if there's any advice around that.
They're saying you're out of rhythm. You're out of your rhythm, and that, like, they're showing me the circadian rhythm, like the natural body's rhythm. Like, you need to get more into a rhythm of, like, not so much trying, but just set little milestones for your day of, like, things that you enjoy. Like, whatever you like to go do, go and enjoy. Like, get back into that rhythm of flow within yourself, because you're out of rhythm. Like, you're overthinking it. You're over, like, you so much about spirituality, where it's to the point where you're, like, micromanaging spirituality, and you're like, well, this didn't happen, so you're trying to use logic with spirituality instead of, like, using them in harmony. And like, you're out of your rhythm. So the more and more you can get back into rhythm with self, like, ask yourself, just take a deep breath. What do I want to do today? What feels good? And, like, lead from that place, is you'll naturally go back into a state of rhythm, because your guides are like, you're avoiding some things, and your guides are trying to, like, squeeze you from kind of all areas to, like, get you to see them.
And I know what, or I have to, or something I have to figure out.
They said, what's that anger from, is what they're asking. Like, they're telling me to prompt you. There's anger there. Where's that pain from? You got to go find that pain. Like you're disappointed with something.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Sorry for the silence. I was just trying to figure out what. There's so many things, and I don't know if maybe there are like a lot of ripple effects of something that is the root cause, and I'm not seeing it. And the other question would be actually around around this, because I still I am as you said, I think like everything has been crashing around me and I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know what happened. Is it part of a natural process in my life of experiencing certain things, or is it something I'm not doing or not seeing to get out of it? Because I feel like I'm trying to move forward and each time I'm getting stuck somewhere, maybe different fears, or yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out that somehow.
Yeah, but you got to get back in rhythm with yourself. They're saying like anytime something happens, your analytical mind creates like you're bracing for something bad to happen because it's not the ideal situation. So it's easy to be happy in a beautiful, serene, beautiful part of the world. It's easy to be in flow with all of that because it's provided around you. They're saying like you mastered that in that space. And so now, like, the next level of mastery is to be put in a place where your eyes don't see that beautiful harmony, and it's like you got to be more in flow with yourself, more in balance with yourself, more in rhythm with yourself, and that all those things will align again. But it's like because you see something with the eye that you don't like, and so you kind of like brace, and then that naturally like causes that matter to manifest. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry for the silence. I'm still processing everything. Mm. So would this mean that everything that happened, I why everything kind of was fellow, I know, like basically all of my paths of being somewhere else than where I am here right now are gone because I need to master being here.
Mm-hmm. You said you need to forgive yourself.
Or which bit? Generally, or
There's some stuff like that pain where you need to forgive yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the last one will be, is there any advice or guidance around what I'm here to do and offer? And I know the most important things about it's having self-confidence. And if I don't believe myself, I'm never going to be able to do anything. I think I'll just taking in consideration that I feel like I hit it from a lot of point of view, except this point of view, having this type of collaboration and some really wonderful people in my life and BKH. I feel like I hit some rock bottoms, and I just wanted to know if I'm still on the right track to continue, and I just have to have more trust, or do I have to um, step away or make other choices?
So they're like showing me you surfing or like skateboarding, like that movement of flow, and like you know that if you just like you're just trusting of your connection with the board and connection with the water and connection with the resistance you feel, that you still just move forward and flow. Like if you connected that type of rhythm within your life, that connection of just like it's all going to be fine, you're just moving forward, that that's like they're saying like there's a sweet spot for you, like when you're doing that, like you feel this, like I don't know, because I don't skateboard or surf, but like they're just showing me this flow and just the shh, shh, and you're just gliding over the water. Yeah, sometimes you crash and you get water up your nose or whatever, but like it's just that feeling of that flow. And they're just saying like take that same approach with life, like just go with it, just bend with the bends, just like move your body, just feel that energy and just direct that board where you want to go, and everything's going to be okay.
Okay. Yeah, that was like spot on. I love that flow, and in that moment, like that is the physical part. In my mastery moments, I was doing that with life, like reality, like how it was that. I think it was Inception, when you like having that girl that was manipulating reality around her. Like sometimes when I'm in that flow, I just feel that happens somehow. And yeah, I didn't know if I'm just in the wrong space and I cannot do that, or I just need to practice that more with life,
You have to
especially.
practice that with more life, because you can't be in the middle of a surf session, they're saying, and like stop and think about something. Be like, hold the wave. I'm going to stop. I'm going to think about this really deeply. I'm going to tap into it. I'm going to be connected, because the wave's still moving, the water's still moving, the board's still moving, and you're still moving. So it's like you can't, like, you got to stop and being so much in your head. Like you're pausing that moment of the flow and just be like, and
Mm,
and catch yourself when you're in that, and just like find your center and just keep flowing.
yeah, yeah, makes sense. And thank you so much for the, the beautiful explanation.
You're welcome.
Um, okay, just one small one. Um, I don't know if it's possible to answer this one. It might be a little bit silly. That sometimes I feel like my life flow is disrupted by my fear of not having a lot of money right now. Is this something that I should tackle more in a 3D way, or should I just practice more going with the flow and trusting life and dancing with it?
Everything that you feel that is a fear is a teacher. So if you're saying I'm afraid of it, you're attracting us to give you that lesson more.
Mm.
And that's a sign to us like, oh, she's afraid of it, she wants more of this. If you're like step into more of empowerment approach from seeing that situation and being in flow, then we're going to like no longer have to keep money from you, because you're no, like we're shown that you've learned the lesson.
Mm. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and you're right. I have a lot of theories, and just I know a lot of things, and I'm still struggling a little bit with practicing it, and I'll keep this in mind
You're
and
doing a
self.
beautiful, yeah, you're doing a beautiful job. And the words that you speak, listen to them. Like you're not struggling. You're just going through it. The fact that you attach to the struggle is what's keeping you in the struggle. When fact of giving yourself love and grace and acceptance, to say I'm just moving through it, I'm flowing through it. Yes, it's happening, but it's, I'm gliding through it gracefully and with love and empowerment. Like start attaching those words to it, because then that will be like the atom of the universe. Like you start changing the universe around you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm taking a big breath, and now I'm putting my feet down on the board. Um, well, I don't. I don't feel like asking anything more right now. I don't know if there's anything you want to say. But I'm really happy that the last question made you smile. And yeah, so if there's, please let me know if there's anything else. Otherwise, we'll end the session now.
No, we're good for now.